All right, we are back.
Yeah.
We have our coffees and waters all set up
Yeah.
so symmetrically. Thank you for handling that for us.
Thank you for your trust.
Um, so last night, can you give can you give everyone a briefing about what we did last night? And then when we were sitting there, I was like, let's film an episode tomorrow because it sparked some thoughts in my mind. So if you can paint the picture for everyone,
Okay.
and then I will then let everyone know what I was thinking in that moment.
Okay, so last night actually, it was my mom's birthday, so we decided to give her like a surprise, and so therefore we chose like a nearby restaurant because I think they offer like special like a kind of like a cultural vibe, which include like
Cultural vibe. What does cultural vibe mean?
I mean some kind of traditional culture performance
Sure.
as they described to me earlier, which make me feel like oh it might be a best way for her like give her like a really like Balinese style of like surprise birthday. Anyway, so we went there. So it's so it will include the live music performance. Then following will be the big event we wish mom will really enjoy. That is the so-called the local fire dance, which is
I believe it's Kecak, Kecak. C in Indonesian is a ch sound, so I believe it's Kecak.
Kecak.
Dance.
Yeah,
Something
Kecak
like
dance.
Kecak might be fire. I'm not sure, but regardless, that it's like if you come to Bali, it is one of the performances that there are hundreds of places trying to get you to buy tickets to go to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of the performances to go. It's I'm sure it's on the checklist in the tour guidebooks.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it's probably because it's raining, so it's probably the easiest way for us
It was
to enjoy.
pouring.
Pouring.
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, but still, all the dancers are really dedicated to their work, and also like I'm surprised like the fire is always there. You
Some of
know.
them went out. Some of the kids were
Okay.
just sitting there in the rain, like they were continuing to chant, but I felt bad, like their fire was out.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, it's the visual effect may probably we will show you guys later.
It'll be right here. I'll put it up so it's right here.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like right in this spot right here, right on where this lady. It's like almost kind of blocking her head. It's right here. This is
Yeah.
where it is right now. It's overplaying. As I'm talking about it right now, this is kind of the vibe that we had going on.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we hope everyone could be there, enjoy that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Because there weren't that many people there. So we do
yeah.
really wish people were there to join us because there were actually like, let's hold on. There was 3, 7, 3 behind us, and that one guy. There's 13 people there, and there were like 50 people in this performance.
Yeah, even the dancers have like
There's
more
like
people than
15
we do.
staff
Yeah.
there. It was yes, it was we weren't at max capacity for that dining tent whatsoever.
Yeah, but we're so lucky to get
It was
the
cool.
front table.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
did get the front table.
Yeah. Anyway, I would say like it's just great vibe, and also the visual and audio effect are was stunning, and also like very like unforgettable. I mean, to me and to my mom. I mean, probably to everyone, because I feel like the goal for this kind of night event. I mean, because after that, after we taste all the food, I think all of us were saying like, so the goal of people coming here definitely not for the food, because they're like pretty simple like traditional Balinese food, but it's more about for the vibe. So I would say actually the fire dance, the katak, are are the biggest reason why I drive people here, like even like during the pouring rain. So that's the thing I observed yesterday.
So that's the background story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now I'm going to share how I perceived the whole
Sure.
situation. So we arrived at this place. Again, I didn't know anything about it. You set everything up, reservations. You just said, get in the car at this time. I said, okay, I will do that. So we arrive, and it's a complex. It's a hotel. There's a museum. There's like these performance centers. It's a whole complex. Okay. And so we walked like a little bit to get to the tent area. So there was a big tent set up. There were tables with like white dining cloths set over it. 2 guys performing live music. I believe they were playing Shape of You by Ed Sheeran as we walked in. And it was just, so buffet was not available. That's a side note. But yeah, so we were just kind of sitting there waiting for the performance to start, enjoying the live music. And so all of a sudden the performance starts. And again, I've heard of this performance. It's the first time I've ever gone to one. Now, the times I've heard of this performance before is when I am in the middle of one of the tourist centers and people are yelling at me to buy tickets to go to this performance. So that's already my perception of this performance, is it's people are just trying to sell tickets to it. So it starts and we're watching it. And there were two distinct thoughts that went through my head, and I want to touch on each of them today.
Go for it.
The first is, I will do it in the order in which they came to me.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily,
Take your
it would have
time.
made sense if I did in the reverse order, but the first one was, though this has become something rather commercialized, in the sense that everyone sitting there was sitting at a table with a white cloth over it, just hearing these guys play Ed Sheeran, and then this thing starts, and everyone paid, compared to general local levels of products here, a relatively high price to watch this performance of like 50 people who were all getting paid to be there and do it. It's just like, what is real and what is not real? What is real and what is not real? So one of the questions that came into my head when I wanted to pose this to you is like, when you go to somewhere in China that has a, like if you go to Sichuan, Sichuan is very famous, for those who don't know, with Bian Lian, like face changing that performance. At one point, that was like this very special thing to the region, right? And people in Sichuan would go to those shows, and it was something very special to them. And then it gets to this point in which, well, it's not really a thing that people in Sichuan won't really go and see them necessarily, but people from afar will come and go to those performances. And it's not an exact fit, but like what I was thinking was, and again, I wish I looked up a little more about this performance before we started talking today for some more background, but my understanding is that at some point it was something spiritual. It was something for the community, and there was some sort of relation to the holidays and the gods and what they believe about reality and how it affects them and their individual lives and their community as a whole. At one point it was something like that. And then we got to the point where, after hearing a cover of Ed Sheeran and about to eat in a buffet in the pouring rain, they were doing this performance in front of us. And also just the general vibe, again, like I keep talking about like the music, nothing on Ed Sheeran, but like the music choice. It was all these extremely Western songs. Even the buffet was, yes, it was Indonesian food, but it was like,
Serving your Western style?
it was like, yes, served in a Western style, and the Indonesian foods that I think they suspect Westerners to most like, which goes into the point of like, hold on, I'm not finished with the first point. That performance at some point really meant something. And again, in that general vibe of what was going on, and everything was catered kind of to our enjoyment, which is what it is. It's a product. It just, when I was in Nepal, one of the most memorable, we had one day at this class, and basically they told us to go into the center of town and kind of just walk around and, again, just kind of make note of like, what are the shops selling, what's going on in that center of the town. And then when we went back, and they basically asked us like, what are Tibetan things? What are Tibetan things? Like, what are like maybe some things that people would buy like most often or whatever? And so after being just primed going to the center of town and seeing all that stuff, people were like, Tibetan prayer bowls, tankas, which are Tibetan paintings, some of like the hand knitted hats that are, it's like there's the Tibetan-esque to it in the context of the question they're asking, and the question is meant to get at, well, is what's going on in the center of town and being sold really Tibetan culture? Or is it what they think you think Tibetan culture is? Does that make sense? So in what we were experiencing last night, it is their understanding of what we think and like about their culture. Right? It's not necessarily the thing in itself. It is like it goes through this lens of what will they like about us, about our culture, at least in their head. And it's like this idea of like the exotic Bali is kind of what that felt like last night. Because when you just go to the supermarket or hang out at a normal restaurant, people are just chill and wearing ordinary clothes, and like it just felt like it is. I think there's nothing wrong with it, because I know it was a thing we signed up to and like to experience it, and that's what, and you wanted to show your mother that as the surprise for her birthday, but like it's not the real thing. It just felt very orchestrated to me. We can come back to that. The other thing that I was thinking was, well, at some point when this was real, like, oh my goodness, how different that is from a different, like 100 years ago, before mass globalization began, in which American music or Hollywood movies or what have you kind of went all around the world, and the same style of clothes started to go all throughout the world. Like how different it all was, right? Like imagine if that performance going on in its like very real historical context was happening, and you were just a fly on the wall like 100 years ago, before there was this mass communication transmission of cultures, languages. It's just, it is wild how similar we all are now. Whereas at one point, that performance, or just the general community prayers and activities that you would see, which still go on, but like, again, with globalization and the general transmission of understanding and different medias and different ideas, to where we're more and more getting on the same page with everything. I understand that seems kind of crazy to people who still view the world as very separated and different, and like how utterly different China is to the US, but also the transmission of just general ideas and understandings has created a sense in which we are all so much closer than before in the ability to understand each other. And I think that's going to continue, and something we've talked about before is this idea of the mass use of English around the world. And our generation is going to be it's the first time historically where 80 plus, 90 plus % at varying degrees of proficiency are going to be able to speak one common language together. And yeah, I think about it a lot. Like 30 years ago, the idea of traveling is so much more difficult than what it is now, and so much more isolating and like absolutely terrifying. And whenever I talk to people who are 20, 30 years older, who did have a similar experience to me in the sense of living in different places or traveling to different places, but pre-internet world, like it's just so different. And if you go to any major city in the world today, yes, there are the differences, and there's the difference in architecture and perhaps the food and the language, but like amenities level wise, like you can find everything. It's all more or less the same. I don't know. that was me rambling about some of my thoughts of being there. So one, there was this idea of like, this is so orchestrated and not real, and it goes through the lens of like, they thought about what we think Bali culture is and created an experience that would be enjoyable to us, but still within the comforts, you know, like it's just artificial in that way. But then also on the other side, like, wow, 100 years ago, like, we were just so much more different and separate and did not have the ability to understand each other. And it is just so much easier now than it ever has been. And as we continue to have that transmission, the word I've been using, it'll become easier and easier. And perhaps what we're doing and will become obsolete because it'll be so easy to be able to cross across cultures. You're quiet.
Yeah, because it's just, I would say like a lot of things when you're talking, it's actually the things like I remember my professor once asked us about something because before like one of our class about how to like use design to help those in China have a minority group, those kind of culture, try to make those untangible like cultural inheritance, to make them to like commercialize or like at least like will enable everyone to enjoy that. So while we're talking about that at first, so while we actually be in the minority group village, which is still like at that time and maybe still like now, maybe it's better, like it's pretty isolated. There's not much commercialized things there. So say like if you want to see like a pretty local like spiritual performance or dance,
Yeah.
like it's very similar to the one we saw last night. People
Well,
wear
that's
masks
so
and
exactly
something.
the Sichuan thing. I think that was not the best.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the best example because that has always been a performative art. Whereas if you go to some of the ethnic minority areas, and some of these performances have the spiritual meanings,
Yeah.
similar to what we saw last night. That's a better idea. So I think so. Think about it. If like when you go to Yunnan and there are these activities or performances that at one point really had this spiritual meaning and perhaps still do within the community, but you're buying tickets and then you're going to an all-you-can-eat hot pot after. Like it's obviously it's very different. Like I want to see the thing when it's happening for the purpose of them doing the thing in itself, not to do it as a business practice. I want. Obviously, it's difficult to obtain sometimes, but that's what I'm getting at. Is like when you go to these performances and you're thinking you're having this cultural experience. Like yes, in a sense, somewhat, but I don't know. I just doesn't feel super real.
Yeah, again, there are different goals. Actually, that's the same thing where I have the same doubts with other with my friends and teachers. So it's more about the goal. So before a lot of the art performance like. I will use some example in China particularly. Maybe it's universal in other countries. A lot of the performance, whether it's like if it's spiritual, it's not whether it's spiritual or like pretty considered like the high class arts or performance. It's not. I think it's not available for everyone. So that's
Exactly right. Yes.
They have their purpose. Also, it's have certain kind of meaning. Like it is some embodies like it's only it means that its availability is only for those people with certain social status, which make it so unique. You have to be at that position so that you can enjoy that performance. Or if you see like I will use some extreme example. Did you remember that time we see like a funeral things, like in Guangzhou province?
No. We were in that was Fujian.
Fujian, sorry, Fujian.
That was the day in Zhangzhou.
Yeah, so
as our bamboo rat was being prepared for
exactly.
us.
So this kind of performance would
You
never.
didn't hear that wrong. We ate rat in Zhangzhou, and while we were waiting for our rat to be cooked, we were sitting in a Taoist temple, and there was a funeral procession through the streets carrying a dead
Yeah.
body. Continue, sorry.
Yeah, and everyone was asked to hide somewhere. We can't look
Yes,
directly
we were
to
told
that.
we couldn't. Yes, this is great.
That's
Yes,
why we're-
yes. So, again, I mean, I think we don't want to get too much into like we want to go to real funerals as an experience,
Yeah.
but like that's real. That was real.
Yeah.
That was real. When I was in Sarawak, I was like adopted by this family one day, and they brought me to a funeral for a family member. But like it was that's
wait,
real.
You first had to be adopted to be like a family member.
That was like back-to-back funerals because
Yeah.
that with the funeral in Fujian that we saw was a week before this one I saw in Sarawak. But anyways, like again, it doesn't have to be funerals, but it's this idea of there's actually this community activity and gathering going on, and they're doing it for it like whether you're there or not, they're doing it because they're doing it for the thing in itself. Whereas the thing last night or the things that you're talking about you might find in Yunnan are like performances for the sake of the outsiders, and they're doing it as a business practice. That's the difference.
But yeah, but also think about like, sorry, I might be thinking of different accent, but it's so everything I'm pro and con. So that the way I guess. I guess the good thing about things it's a way to like enable this kind of a, like cultural tradition to still exist in so like people can earn money from that, and also so have the money to enable to their the continued performance and to perform that to the other people, so which is a sustainable way to do that. But on the other side, as I think somehow so like that's the kind of thing we definitely don't want to see is if they really want to make money and to like extreme point, they just because for the sake of the money they just cater the tourists so much. That's why just somehow to alter their original shape of their culture tradition.
Exactly.
That's the thing we definitely don't want that happen.
Yes.
So that I get your point. So but
people are making money.
Yeah.
So they're happy to do it. But I think the point I'm making it's like the lesson that I took from that class, and for background, like that class, it's about anthropology. So it's like field work. It's developing the ability to determine what is real and what is for the sake of the tourism business happening in the area. That's what that was about. So yes, I understand that it's great that we still these performances can still be active, and that the I hate to use the word, but almost like exotification of them is being used to make money off them, but they're still existing in some sort of form. Yes, that's great, but again, it's about like identifying what was designed for you as the foreigner and tourist being there. Be in the way of what they think you will like, and what is just real everyday life. And that also blends into the other point I was making, is that because of globalization and because we are becoming so close, you don't have to rely on these things that are designed for you, because the real life isn't as far off. Yeah. It's the closest it's ever been. So like, again, a lot of these terms I'm using, I feel are very abstract, and I fear are not easily digested. So like, for example, if you're on Koh San Road in Thailand, Bangkok, Backpacker Street, the most famous backpacker street in Southeast Asia, okay? So one time when I was in Bangkok, I was like, I gotta go check it out. It's against everything I genuinely believe in as far as living in places abroad and experiencing real life, but I was like, I gotta go see what this is all about. While I was there, 2 separate instances where I've met people, and they were sitting there on Koh San Road, which again, let me paint the picture for those who have not been there. It's like a mile-long road of just clubs and music blaring and people trying to sell you nitrogen balloons to get you high, and selling burgers and hot dogs and pad thai. And so in the US, if someone says, I want to have Thai food, they're like, yeah, let's have some pad thai. So your conception of Thai food is that it's pad thai. But when you go to Bangkok, it's very difficult for you to find pad thai, unless you're on Koh San Road. Because Koh San Road, over the last 30 years, was developed for you. as a backpacker, as a Western backpacker. So that's one of the places you can find pad thai. And so two separate times people said to me like, man, I can't believe I'm here and I'm in Thailand and I'm having a pad thai, like having real authentic pad thai. And again, I think I've shared this story before, and it's like I don't want to knock people for leaving because the vast majority of people don't even have the balls to go abroad and to experience that. But also I think people should be aware of the fact that no, you're not experiencing authentic Thai culture or life or food or anything. You're on this place that was designed for you. And again, the ability to communicate language / just shared context of the world. Like if you walk around, people listen to the same music everywhere in the world. It's all the same music. There's a few regions and cultures who like when you walk around their area, it's still like very distinct. I'm thinking in my head like generally like India or little Indias in the world, like it's not necessarily the pop top 50 hits, but like everywhere else it is. Like you're just gonna hear Drake like everywhere, and Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That's just what you hear. And I think that what's important is to understand the ability to determine what is real and what was designed for me as whether you're a Westerner, whether you are an expat, whether you are a tour, like whatever, as the outsider, whichever of those target demographics the thing is, the ability to determine what was built for that purpose and what is just normal daily life in the place I'm in. And then understanding that daily normal life should not be as intimidating to you because it is the closest it has ever been to your world.
I would say that's actually also have something.
I'm working through these ideas. Like I these are thoughts I've had for a while, and I don't necessarily speak them out loud so much. So it's hard to articulate and like use the correct terminology to really like nail home the idea. I'm trying my best, but like that's getting an idea of what I'm trying to express.
Yeah, that's why I think it's for me like what I perceived so far from before what you just said is like I think it's more about the mindset. So it was for me it's very simple. So there's no right or wrong, but it's just if you really want to like you said, if you really want to know what is real, what is not real, want to like really experience the real local culture, you have to switch your mindset from like a customer, from just like a normal traveler to the mindset to be like you first really want to put yourself into that position.
Well, my goal and what I hope people's like I really like a lot of the what I really try to drill home into our clients, and some people do not want to live in such a quote unquote assimilated way, but your goal should be to become like those people. You're just a person that lives there.
Yeah, that's why it's very important.
That should be the goal.
Mindset, because most of us because we're so spoiled these days. All the things make us so easy. So see if you want a food, order it, buy it, and see and the things come. When things come with the experience, whether it's cultural experience or the other experience, I can literally. Even I can have a reservation about certain kind of things.
But if someone's gotten to the point in which that is their goal, they're like, I'm all in. Mm-hmm. But you also have to develop the ability to understand what was designed for you as the foreigner here and what is real. So yeah, it's.
That's why I think because there's no right or wrong, but.
People can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
but understand what's real and what's not.
Yeah, and also like if you really want to like really like deepen your skills about cross culture and also the culture MC whatever things we've talked so far, you really need to switch your mindset from the normal, I would say the customer mindset to the one willing to like put yourself to really like want to be just to act to think like a local.
Be a chameleon.
Be a chameleon. That's so different because they're not. Because if you're still like yourself, as Max said, in the like customer mindset, you were just thinking about I would just want to get whatever thing is designed for me, which also cater my taste.
I mean, that's what 99% of people who do travel like though. So you can't like. That is like that's what people are going to design their services to accommodate for. But again, the whole point of creating this is to try to identify the people in the world who don't want to do that. They just want to become another in that place.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that ability to kind of, I don't know. I mean, I think it's not one of the more difficult things to identify. You have to be able to understand, again, like this idea of pad thai. If you go to a restaurant and there's pad thai on the menu and it's like the featured dish or anything like that, it's not a Thai restaurant, generally.
Yeah.
Generally. Yeah, and a lot of it is regional, and I haven't been everywhere in Thailand, so I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, like, there are places that are catered to tourists, to foreigners, and there are places that are not. I would recommend spend as much time as you possibly can at the ones that are not, if your goal is to try to become like those people, assimilate, what have you.
Yeah.
And if you do that, a couple of episodes back, we talked about this idea of rest.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that you all the time is getting a little intense, it's okay to go to one of those restaurants where you feel more comfortable and they serve food that you enjoy more and it's more comfortable for you, and maybe they speak English to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Just know which is which.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's very, actually provide a lot of useful tips, even for me, because I would say like before, like, yeah, it's actually about the take your first step. So again, because we're so get used to like to make the decision where we can still like stay in our comfort zone. Like for me, like my first, even if I do really want to experience pretty local and like local culture. But first thing comes to my mind, I would prefer, maybe I can choose some of things already designed, like you can experience that in a comfort way, and which still like visually, or at least to my perspective, still like, pretty local, because the people wear local costume, you are actually be physically in a local place.
But that's exactly what they are designing for you.
Exactly.
To have that thoughts. That's what's being designed.
Yeah, but again, like I
and it's cool. Like you can go to it if you want to go to it, but just understand the difference.
Yeah, and also
that's exactly what they want you to think. That's funny that it's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but I was thinking about like all this is so like very deep down local experience we had so far. Like in China, there's never gonna be a way you can find those customized like uncle like interaction service.
I understand, but also you can just go to the park, dude. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean those uncles are not like
go hang out in the market. Like I don't know, like it's not guaranteed that anything will happen.
I was thinking it would be so funny if you can figure out this kind of activity and say like the active time for those.
I could so set that up, and the Shanghainese uncles would love that. Yeah, they would love that. But the issue is, if I were to have set up that service, we would have to choose the most outgoing uncles and the uncles with the most hobbies, because we know that's what the foreigners would find interesting. So in that sense, it would be kind of, it is. Hold on, that's kind of a good idea though. That's kind of.
Everyone have their own rate. Oh my god.
That would be actually kind of funny, but no, I mean.
This is definitely
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by this idea right now.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing, like, you know, it is very ridiculous. And thinking of that, I think our audience will also get the idea, like,
sure.
A lot of things why we encourage our clients to explore that, because it's only in this way, if you really want to experience the candid.
Another tangible example.
Yeah.
You, a few days ago, went to a cooking class. So maybe you can chat a little bit about that after I tell you the other thing I want you to juxtapose it to. Okay?
Okay, sure.
When we walked into the home of random people in Yangzhou and started making zongzi with them. One, I don't know, we haven't really talked about your experience, but like, one is designed for you, and one was we just found random people who were making food, and we just kind of asked, hey, can we help out?
So
Very different.
different.
Okay, all right.
Totally
Let's.
different.
I would like to hear. Yes.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
first, speaking of the local cooking course, again, because this time I'm not alone.
Hold on. Wait.
Yeah.
Context. At one point when we were young,
Mm-hmm.
we were walking around the back alleys of one of the areas, and your mother basically just asked if anyone was in there, and there were, and we just walked in their home, and they were making food, and we just started to help them out.
Yeah,
That's what that's the difference with what we're this versus the cooking class you signed up and paid for on Airbnb with a credit card.
yeah, that's it's definitely different because the one, let's talk about the cooking course first because the reason I choose that because again our time is limited and also like because it's because I really want to experience to be safe and to be design that might fit for like for like a family activity. That's why I choose the Airbnb service, which is, and also I feel like because all the pictures.
Well, and also
all
walking into the home of people and just saying, "Can we
Yeah.
cook with you?" is a little more difficult here. But yes,
Yeah, that's why like, it's probably the safest way for both of us to experience it because we really want to like experience the local like Balinese cooking routine
Sure.
or something. Yeah, everything was designed perfectly. We were able to visit the local market, taste the local fruit, and even to know a lot of different knowledge, which is fine. But yeah, and also for the cooking process, everything was designed perfectly. So actually, even if I was like, so like yeah, in general, you are physically in very local Balinese home. It is in a village, not in some kind of like city center place. And it is the people who like are local Balinese, like they know how to cook that well, and they all wear the traditional costume.
so they were wearing their traditional dress.
But yeah, but the still like, but the whole cooking experience is I it's done perfectly for everyone, even if they don't have any like previous experience or skills about cooking. So it was designed to, I would say, yeah, definitely cater for everyone who can enjoy it to make them feel it's very easy to make local Balinese food on your own. So like every step was designed seamlessly to make sure you can catch up, and those hosts and those staff I would say every one of them can speak at least 5 different languages, including Mandarin. I was very surprised. So, but at some point when I was cooking with my mom, I feel like we're actually still a lot of things. It's very similar to those, I would say, high class or well designed cooking course in Shanghai. We do have a lot of like the franchise brand for like those like the mom or those who like dress pretty well dressed, and everyone's like, it's just the teachers and the setting are so like it's very clean and decent, and you don't need to like think about anything. You just follow the steps. I feel like at the moment, both of us feel like it is. I mean, it's nice because you're in that
Right.
cultural vibe, but this kind of experience is somehow like I would say that's the only thing I feel like it is something like maybe it's not what I expected. Because what I truly expected is the same as you Max said, is something weird. We will actually do in Yangzhou the other time. That thing is.
But the whole thing is that's not a good business model.
Oh yeah,
You know?
definitely you're not be there doing the right summer just to attract the silly tourists to come in and just do any of the dishes with them. They're just hang out, chill, and all of the things happen.
That's real.
Yeah,
That's
real.
real.
It's so natural. Like we just follow mom, and at first we are so scared, like we might just be like rude, but turn out
But that's how that generation interacts with each other.
they are very friendly and actually, because to our tradition is like when you see some people like cooking. I mean China, especially for older generation, you see some people like cooking or preparing food. The most efficient way to to bridge the gap, to break the ice, is you just being natural. Just come and help, whether you're chopping or cleaning the dishes, and you start chatting. That's the thing. But actually, it's a pretty I would also suggest any of the people who really want to interact with the local people, especially older generation in China, it is the most efficient way to bridge the gap.
But the thing is, I was gonna say I'm gonna link video in the description so you can see, but I also don't want to encourage people to just try to go into people's homes in the back alleys of
Never just barge into other
of tier 2 cities in China. I don't think that's either. I don't think that's.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we're definitely not encouraging everyone to do this because sometimes they might be scared because, like, but still, like, I really appreciate you bring the Yangzhou's example
because I think again that's the what I was saying earlier when I was like was what I'm saying even making sense? I feel like bringing up these stories and experiences that we've had together kind of helps distinguish the differences, and I think now you get what I mean by like what's real and what's not.
Yeah, that's why can I also bring in a little bit. So like in the following 2 days, we're about to celebrate our first spring festival on this island.
Yeah.
So before.
Chinese New Year for those who Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Sorry, people might not know it's Spring Festival. Yeah, Chinese New Year. Yeah.
So before, like my first instinct would be switch to the customer mindset. Would be maybe I just find some nice hotel, serve nice Chinese and mixed Western style buffet, and have their traditional Chinese dumpling or something. But after I checking that, I calm myself down a little bit. I feel like that is exactly the reason why we don't want to celebrate that in Shanghai. Because in Shanghai, like every year,
those dinners are fun though.
Yeah, but
it's because it's more about the people though.
Yeah, because it's like every year, like at least like I won't say like
the uncles just get hammered.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I would say like most Chinese, one of the most popular way in Shanghai right now. People just choose some like really fancy like buffet in a hotel
and show up in sweatpants.
Yeah, and the hotel where cater, they know it's the vibe. Even if it's the Western brand hotel,
but like
they will have the traditional Chinese.
Yes,
dance
because right. Yes, great. But for the vast majority of people in China, it's the time when they go home to their village and they make the meal with their family.
Exactly.
That's what Chinese New Year is.
So before like mom and dad, because we think that's probably the most efficient way, just hang out and chill. We don't need to worry about cooking and other things. But then like after.
Well, in Shanghai it's tough because you can't have a ton of people over your house because no one really has that much space. Yeah.
But then like actually there is the topic a lot of Shanghainese. So there's a trend like Shanghainese realize we don't know, we actually kind of like deviate from like how we used to celebrate the festival. Right now, like we do have our traditional food. It's just so easy. You can order like just within a snap. But somehow like we don't have the cultural vibe. I mean, you could physically experiencing all of the fancy mall. They would do the decoration and put a lot of money on that. You could also like go to the very tourist hot spot where you can enjoy the traditional performance. But still, it's as Max said, it's not exactly the actual way to celebrate.
Right. So I like that we're going to be doing it the actual way by doing it. I was thinking while you were saying that because the kitchen's right over here, so I'm just thinking about the kitchen. Could we, as maybe one of the parts of the cooking process where we're not completely moving around, maybe if we're cutting up stuff and we could stand for like a half hour, maybe cutting up stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Could we set up the podcast arms? And could we do a little podcast episode while we are making the food for the New Year?
Yeah. But again, also like the tradition of like celebrating the Spring Festival in China are so different from different regions. But again, the whole point is it should be like people cook themselves, like cook by themselves, not just ordering the other things or just like go to somewhere.
Again, it depends on the region. Like I think my understanding of the Shanghainese is generally like all traditional holidays they kind of don't do in the full way anymore.
Yeah.
And they kind of view it as, I can't use the word I want to use that you would get that really emphasizes what I want to say, but they view it as like it's just the old. They feel they've modernized like past these traditions, and they're like it's somewhat like Christmas, to give metaphors to bridge understanding, like how Christmas, perhaps let's say in the U.S., are there still people who are super religious and celebrate it for the purpose of the religious meaning of it? Yes. But I think the vast majority of people view it as a time where everyone has work and school off and then come together and have a meal as a family for one evening, and then they move on the next day. And that's kind of what traditional holidays in Shanghai have become, is like, yeah, let's get together and have a dinner, and you go to a restaurant for 2 or 3 hours and then it's over. But in the countryside, it's a 2-week thing.
Yeah.
So
Even amongst things, people go
again,
start
it's different
early.
where you go, but regardless, I am glad that we are doing it the real way this year.
Yeah.
And I think that episode it's a great idea if we could set it up while we're cooking.
Yeah, but still, like, we're like for now, like, because we're in Bali, there is some of the material probably we can't find it, but still we will try
What a
our
shame.
best. Yeah, but in that case, we need to, like, go to local market to, like, scout out the materials.
I think Nian Nian Fan, which is the meal the eve of New Year. We'll do that. We'll do the cooking, and then maybe night 2 or 3. We should go to, like, one of the Chinese restaurants around here and see if there's other Chinese people we could.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They'll probably because actually, a lot of Shanghainese or other.
They're
other
here for the
people-
month. Yeah.
Yeah, for a month. They want to celebrate the festival here. Yeah, but I think it's actually a great way to, to actually, like, just immerse ourselves to this kind of the traditional holiday things.
Immerse
before-
ourselves. You mean by ourselves, isolated in the house? But yes, I get what you're trying to say.
I prefer to do it in that way. Yeah, instead of where our original plan was just get a car, drive
Go to a
ourselves,
buffet,
like, miles away to the pretty nice buffet where they have all their things, like, set up for Chinese people.
The dragon dance.
Dragon dance and whatever thing you can imagine. But that's the things, even to me, it's a little bit weird because actually we don't actually watch that performance.
I've never seen a dragon dance in China.
It's only for people who I mean for the people, like, in the, I would say, in the southern area, they have that.
Yes, so I've seen it in Malaysia. I've seen it in Malaysia, it's particularly at, like, Taoist events around the New Year, but I've never seen it in China. Regardless,
Yeah.
I'm excited for the New Year.
Yeah. Me too.
And I was thinking of a way to segue us into talking about the Chameleon Club, but I couldn't think of a segue, so I'm just going to start talking about it right now. The Chameleon Club is a free community hosted on school.com by yours truly, and our goal is to bring together people who are living in cultures that are not their own, living abroad, studying abroad, traveling extended periods of time, perhaps being a digital nomad, what have you, and people who are not just doing that, but doing so in a way in which they really want to integrate into their host society and go a bit deeper than most do. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, the link will be in the description of wherever you are watching this episode, and we'll be awaiting you there. Just another emphasis on the word free. So yeah, we will be awaiting you there, and so we'll see you there, but we'll also see you next time when we'll probably, it might be the New Year's episode. We might do another one before, but it might be the New Year's episode. Regardless, thank you for joining us. We will see you in the Chameleon Club. I know that you have all already signed up and entered your information, are inside there interacting with us right this moment. But yeah, talk soon.
Yeah, talk soon. Until next time.
Until next time.